This is episode 265 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Hey, it's nice to talk to you after a win this week rather than a stupid loss. And even if it was kind of a boring win.
Well, you got your crap together this last week, and I think you finally pulled through with, everything that you needed to do as a fan to get the win this week.
Yeah, apparently, which is actually not watch the game at all and only check the score at halftime and right at the end of the game. Apparently, that's what I get to do now. I don't even get to watch them live.
Yeah, now you have to do that every single week. Now this is your lot in life.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, you got.
I don't like this. We need to change this.
We need to get the win when you're actually watching and paying attention.
Right, because I am watching tomorrow. That's happening.
Well, and by the time this gets out, it's game day for the Seahawks as they take on the Los Angeles Rams, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, we're going to get a little bit into this Seahawks versus Cardinals game, Adam.
Sure. Cardinals stink. That was easy, and we did everything that I thought we would do to them. Kyler did exactly what he's been doing all season, which is 4 wides, dink and dunk, and if it's not there on the first read or so, run. And that was their entire offense, and they handed off to that one running back that used to matter, and that was it. That was it.
Yeah, David Johnson, the one running back that used to matter, 11 carries for 40 yards. They shut him down. Kyler only took off 4 times. He did have the one rushing touchdown, 27 rushing yards overall. But it's really interesting to me to look at the 2 stat lines for Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson in this game. Both quarterbacks, Kyler throws for 241 yards, Russell Wilson 240 yards. Of course, Murray has the 1 interception, but both completed 22 passes. Russell only needed 28 attempts to get there. Kyler needed 32. Mm-hmm. But just kind of interesting that it came out that way in this matchup of the 2 shortest quarterbacks since, was it ever?
Probably ever. I bet you it's right there. Now, as far as Russell needing fewer attempts, I imagine his yards per attempt are much higher because he's been really great in that aspect of his game this year.
Yeah.
And, really when he's going for it, he's going for it. And I like that play. I came away watching the Cardinals game with the thought, pairing it up with the 3 games prior, was this is the best Russell Wilson I've seen. And then Pete Carroll comes out in the press conference and says, hey, this is the best he's ever been. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. My eye test is matching up with what coach is saying. Because this really is the best Russell Wilson I've seen. This was the Russell Wilson I thought we were going to get. I want to say it was 14, where he had the dynamite preseason. It was just unbelievable. It looked like he had found that pocket passer gene and was putting it all together. And then it didn't really come all together. It's taken some time, but here it is. It's the most complete I've seen him play.
Yeah, he had a solid game this week. He just, there are a couple things where you wish that he would have hit one guy here, one guy there, not that big of a deal. But, when you do compare him to Murray and just the way that these 2 quarterbacks operate, yeah, they may have even ended up with a similar yards per attempt, but it was because Kyler Murray was dropping it off to Johnson over the middle, and then he'd run for like 30 yards after the play broke down, and that's how they picked up all their yards on the ground versus Russell Wilson going deep downfield. He hits Tyler Lockett early, a couple passes to Will Dissly down the field. He had a nice 3rd down pass to Luke Wilson in the 4th quarter to keep that last drive alive where they marched down the field, 8 minutes off the clock, finish off the game, get the touchdown. CJ Prosise scores a touchdown, Adam. Right. And Chris Carson being physical on that final drive. How about that game by Chris Carson?
Great game by Chris Carson. He held on to the damn ball. I enjoyed that. But I think I finally pegged what it is about the way Chris Carson runs in comparison to, say, like Penny or even Prosise. The thing about it that I like, what kind of passes the eye test. And we talk a lot about the physical running, sure, but he runs really wide-legged. Like he's got a very wide base when he's running, where Penny seems to have his feet very close together, just chopping it up with those little smooth steps. Whereas Carson's kind of got that wide base, a lot like Beast did.
Yeah, Marshawn had that.
Yeah, so when he does, come to a point where he needs to make contact, I don't think he's hitting any harder than Penny. I think he just is able to keep his balance a little better when he's making contact.
Yeah.
And instead of just going down like Penny does, he's able to plow through for some extra. I think that's finally what I've coalesced on as the big difference between the two running backs, because Penny is talented and he does have the speed and he does have the size. It's like, so how is it that Carson runs quote unquote harder? Like that's where I finally, I think, figured that part out for myself anyways. But as far as the ball security issues, thank God he held on to the ball. He got plenty of opportunities to lose it, because he had a lot of carries and he held on to it. So great. Maybe this is the start of having that problem solved. We're going to find out here in a day.
The Rams defense, they got a solid front four, and they're going to need Chris Carson in this game. He had the 22 carries, 104 yards, also played well in the passing game, 4 catches, 41 yards. Are you concerned that with 26 touches against the Cardinals and now a short week against the Rams, he's going to be able to turn it around and be the same Chris Carson, just as physical as he was on Sunday and doing it again on Thursday?
I would imagine we're going to see more Penny.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we saw 0 Penny because of the hamstring, but it sounded like he was close-ish.
He was close to ready to go. It seems like maybe they just wanted to have him fresh now for this game against the Rams.
Right. So I think they get back to that kind of 1-2 punch idea, and I'm fine with that. I'm not anti-Penny. I don't mind him getting some touches. I just want Carson to be the primary guy of the two guys if he's holding on to the football. Kind of circling back to the Cardinals game, I mean, Uncle Will with another huge game. I think he's my new favorite Seahawk by far.
Yeah.
Montana kid and just tearing it up. He's not fast, but he just goes out there and he gets open. It's amazing.
I think Will Dissly is from Montana, needs to be the new Jimmy Graham played basketball.
I don't care.
It just needs to be that way.
Look, I'm going to mention it every
like it's a bad thing.
time.
No, we need to mention it every single time.
Yes, exactly. Because Montana's for badasses. And it's just cool to see him have success, and just a good guy about it too. He seems to work well with Wilson. Just their skill sets seem to complement one another. And I'm talking about Double L Wilson, the guy who doesn't know what length of shorts to wear. And the tight end group feels pretty solid right now. I do like the idea of Dissly and Wilson over Dissly and Vannett. I just never saw Vannett do anything worth getting excited about.
He had some nice catches where Russell Wilson would fire in the ball, and most tight ends would probably, like Luke Double L Wilson, wouldn't be able to hold on to a pass like that from Russell. Right. And that would be the one difference. But, for Wilson to fight through contact and come up with that big 3rd and 2 catch, 17 yards, that was pretty big on that final drive.
Sure it was. And that's great.
But yes, we can't take away from Will Dissly, who deserves more of the credit. 4 touchdowns now in the first 4 games. He had 7 receptions in this game on 8 targets, 57 yards. And when it comes to red zone targets, NFL leaders, DK Metcalf actually at number 1. Garrett Strong-Banks sent this along. That hopefully comes to an actual connection rather than so many misconnections.
They're running a stupid fade for the 49th time.
Right. Like, just have him run a route. Like, even if it's a fast, just speed route, don't just go. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of the fade. Russell doesn't seem to do well with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Russell's throw.
Right.
It's just not his throw. Like, get him running slants. Maybe just body up the DB and do the Jimmy Graham basketball thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't. I don't need the DK Metcalf fade like every 3rd play in the red zone.
So you have DK Metcalf and Kenny Golladay of the Lions at 7 in end zone targets. And there you have Will Dissly at number 3, along with Tyrell Williams and Mike Evans of the Bucs.
That's kind of the dirty little secret about the Seahawks is you obviously have a couple guys in red zone targets is sure their rushing percentage is, higher than a lot of teams, but they're not the same team as last year in terms of how much they're running the ball. I mean, you look at the beginning of the Cardinals game, I think it was like 12 pass plays to 4 run plays, something along those lines on the first 2 drives. And you can see that Schottenheimer and Russ have found a good rhythm with one another.
Yeah.
And a good rhythm with the offense. And it's been pretty consistent all year. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing peak Russ right now. Give Schottenheimer some credit.
Well, what did we say going into the season? Was it going to be as run heavy as last year? No, last year was about as run heavy as you can get as a team. So you're going to have to come back to the middle a little bit. And, looking at going into this game against the Rams, they're about 60-40 when it comes to run plays versus pass plays, and 60% pass plays. So they are passing the ball more. They're being more effective. Russell Wilson's looking outstanding. He has the weapons now. I just... yes, they lose Doug Baldwin, but I feel like now that Will Dissly has emerged as a legit target and probably Russell Wilson's favorite target between Lockett and him, and then probably his third favorite target is Chris Carson so far. So those three guys, and all together with Russell Wilson, I really like this quartet of players on offense for this team. Oh,
absolutely. And then you saw Jerron Brown with a couple big catches in the game too. If he could start contributing in the passing game, that'd be great. But, we've talked about this a little bit in previous pods, is just the idea that it doesn't much matter who's out there at receiver. Russell Wilson makes people better.
Sure.
That's who he is. He's a difference maker in the NFL. I had a funny text exchange with our buddy Jared, the Broncos fan, the other day. And he's like, this team is so confusing. Like, we're 0-4, but we could have just as easily be like 3-1, and we've got talent, but we just can't win. And now, see, as a Broncos fan, I can understand why he's confused since he's been blessed with a freaking franchise quarterback for like the vast majority of his football life. Like, they've had a non-franchise quarterback like maybe 2 to 3 years of his fandom, right?
Yeah, when it was Tebow.
Now on year 2 or 3 of not having a franchise quarterback and watching his team consistently lose, he's just confused. And he just doesn't understand. Yeah, the difference is the teams are all so close. We all have talented rosters. Do you have a guy who makes a difference or not? And clearly Joe Flacco doesn't. That's why they're 0-4. And clearly Russell Wilson does. That's why they're 3-1. And yet somehow the Rams keep surviving when their quarterback is not a difference maker. It's very interesting. But I'm looking forward to this next matchup. I'm feeling about... I don't know, 15% less confident than I did against the Cardinals, but I was pretty damn confident against the Cardinals.
Well, one last play that we should talk about from the Cardinals game. Jadeveon Clowney with the interception, the pick six. Felt like his coming out party, his first signature moment as a member of the Seahawks. Yeah,
pretty neat. He had one of those with the Texans. I guess they make fun of him, or they used to make fun of him about his poor hands.
Oh,
so I don't get used to it. Would be my assertion on that. But at least you saw the pass rush come to life a little bit and get pressure on Kyler, even if he is crazy fast and is able to sneak around and find little windows for himself to throw the ball still. The pass rush looked pretty decent against, again, a dumpster fire of an offensive line.
Yeah. And you got Michael Kendricks with 2 sacks in this game. Rasheed Green with probably the most impressive sack, getting Kyler out in the open field and bringing him down. That
was impressive. Yeah, that was very impressive.
And yeah, it was nice to see the team able to get some pressure on Kyler. I just, you want to see them do it against somebody a little bit more impressive, because now after 4 weeks, the Seahawks have 3 wins. But it's a win against a Pittsburgh Steelers team who has, 1 win now? The Cardinals that have 0 wins, and the Bengals who have 0 wins.
Well, the Steelers, I think they've been pretty close in most of their games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they're not terrible. They're like, I would say out of the bad teams, who did I say was the best of the bad teams last week?
I don't even remember.
Was it Denver?
Was it? I don't think, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very confused at how who is the best of the bad teams, because there's a lot of bad teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad teams. There's a lot of mediocre teams. And I really think there's only one great team, and it's not the Chiefs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I am sick and tired of the NFL narrative regarding the Chiefs right now.
I think they're a pretty great team.
Are they?
You got 2 AFC teams that are good, that are really, really good.
They play one side of the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
Their defense sucks.
Okay. Well, the Patriots are the complete team.
Yes. Yeah, they're the only team I look at is having a pretty bulletproof roster from top to bottom. And they still have a little bit of a hole at wide receiver. It just doesn't matter much because they have Tom Brady.
Can we trade the Bills defense to the Chiefs just to have a complete team for the Patriots to go up against, and just so it can't be the Patriots winning this year?
I don't care.
I know you don't care. Some of us care.
No, I don't care because I don't hate the Patriots. I think hating the Patriots is stupid. Sorry for being impressed by success and being a fan of the NFC version of the Patriots. I don't see why you would hate the Patriots. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Seahawks are the NFC version of the Patriots, that except for the cheating part.
That's why the stadium's so loud. They cheat.
Well, I've heard that it's built, in a way that is not not fair.
Yeah, because it's not fair.
Which I still don't.
This is what I'm talking about.
The idea that it was built in a way that's not fair, that argument always baffles me, because it's like the people don't realize that the Seahawks used to play in a domed stadium,
right?
And so now they took off like the whole middle part. And they still have the ends, and it's still loud. I'm pretty sure it's because the fans make a lot of noise. It's not because we took off part of the roof.
See, this is how annoying it is, I imagine, to be a Patriots fan when everybody's like, you're a cheater.
Just let us have somebody to hate.
Oh, I got somebody for you to hate. The catfish Rams, who come into the CenturyLink Stadium here this Thursday, and it's prime for the picking right here. Like, I feel like this is the time to get this Sean McVay team.
Yeah.
Like they got us twice last year. It was close. That's when they were clicking on all cylinders before they lost a bunch of key players. And boy, this year they don't look like the same team at all.
They don't. And everybody's kind of expecting that Super Bowl slump to happen. They were undefeated going into that game against the Bucs. And then you start to see, they still put up 40 points, but they're down by 21 points early. They're having to climb back into the game. And this does feel like the perfect time to get the Rams. I've been thinking about it all week. Do I want to face them coming off a loss to the Bucs, to where maybe they're a little bit, more motivated to come in and have a good showing against an NFC division rival? I think I like them coming off that loss against the Bucs and then coming up to CenturyLink Field against a team that's going to be motivated at home. The Seahawks are motivated because they've lost 3 in a row to the Rams, and they've been inching closer, it seems like, to getting back and getting into this competition with the Rams. And this feels like the game and the time to put this team away.
It does. And the reason why I think it is that time, it has nothing to do with the Rams coming off a loss or off a win or Thursday night or what stadium it's in.
Action green uniforms.
We're not doing those, are we?
We are. Yeah. The Seahawks are 3-0 in action green. They're 8-1 in Thursday night games. The 17-2 in prime time. See, that it's all lining up perfectly to where we can get all of the non-football things that matter driven right into this game to make sure that all the factors are on the side of the Seahawks.
God, I'm going to do some ritualistic sacrifices and things of that nature, because you know how I feel about the action green uniforms. How many of our guys have never played again in a Seahawks uniform after wearing that freaking ugly ass jersey that's made of an entire accent color? But
we can tempt fate now. We can tempt fate because we went down to Arizona, got the win, and nothing bad happened. There weren't any missed field goals. Now we can continue to tempt the fate of the football gods by wearing action green once again in this game against the Rams.
I wish we would have worn them against the Cards and then worn the Wolf Grays this Thursday. Because that would have been a color rush color.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, the reason why this team is finally primed for the pickings, it's in the trenches. I talked about this ad nauseum during the offseason, that the loss of their 2 guards was one of the biggest losses a team has faced in all of the NFL. The reason why the Rams were the Rams last year is that offensive line play was pretty damn stellar, and they were able to run consistently. Hey, stats nerds, hear me. The reason why the Rams were better last year is they were able to run consistently. They can't do that now. And on top of that, they can't protect Goff, who is this generation's Joe Flacco, where if everything doesn't go on time and he can just take one read and gun it there, he's in trouble. And that's why this Rams team is just prime for a beatdown. That offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, Todd Gurley is still averaging 4.5 yards per carry, but you look at that game against the Bucs, and it was because they went down early, 21 points. Goff didn't have that play action to go to, and it seems like that Rams offense is built off of having that play action available, and that allows them to hit those targets over the middle of the field, throwing it over the linebackers. And they still had a lot of success with that against the Bucs. They were throwing it all over the place, but I look back at that game and it just, the Rams were never in it. It was funny watching that game because the announcers, they seemed so sure that the Rams were going to come back no matter what in that game. And it was just, it was like listening to a home broadcast of a Rams game.
It was very annoying.
It just seems like it's going to be whoever has the ball last in this game. Meanwhile, They're down by 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. It was pretty abysmal to listen to. There's no doubt about that. But if there was something that I saw with Goff in that game against the Buccaneers is, number one, if you're a defensive lineman and you don't get pressure, get your hands up.
Yep.
They batted down so many balls and you really threw him off. Secondly, he missed wide open dudes, even when there wasn't pressure. Thirdly, when there was pressure, he was absolutely abysmal. And on top of all of that, he is totally regressed in the way that he sees. He is not seeing the field well at all. And what Sean McVay has done as a response to that is they've gone back to the whole hurry up and get up there. Goff listens to McVay for the first, 15 seconds of the play clock or however long it is that you're allowed to do that. It's down to the last 15.
Down to the last 15, yeah.
Right. And he tells him where to throw it. And so Goff snaps the ball. He stares down his first receiver every single time and throws it there every single time unless he starts to get a little spooked in the pocket and then he checks it down.
Yeah.
That's it. It's first read or check down. That's all he's doing these days. That's it.
But those plays are usually available. If that first read isn't there, the check down's there.
Yeah. So the Rams' favorite play right now is run everybody off deep. Yeah. Scoot the back out on a little wheel route about 7 yards past the line of scrimmage with all the defenders ran off of the line of scrimmage, check it down, and pick up 9, 10, 12 yards.
Yeah.
That's their favorite play. And in fact, it might be the favorite play of every offensive coordinator other than Schottenheimer in the entire league. Everybody is running this play ad nauseum. It's really boring. It's a boring play to watch.
Watching that game against the Bucs, it did feel like they probably ran that exact play about 60% of the time. Maybe even higher.
I mean, that's the play. It's either that or a slant. I mean, of course, Goff got a couple outs. He hit Everett on little curl routes where they take both the tight end and the slot receiver, and they just run about a 7-yard curl. Mm-hmm. And then, the outside receivers are doing whatever they do. But, yeah, it's that play, slants, or run everybody off and dink and dunk it down. And Gurley has not been Gurley this year. He hasn't. And they can't rely on him. And we've kind of shut him down over the years anyways. Like, I couldn't feel more confident against their run game. And if they can't run the ball, their offense can't do diddly crap. Sure, they're going to put up a crap ton of yards, guys. Like, just be ready for that. Be ready for that. They're going to move it all up and down the field in the green zone.
Yeah.
But this defense has been great in the red zone. And it's just, they're not going to have a chance. They're going to kick a lot of field goals like they did against the Bucs. And if you do that against the Seahawks team, who on offense has been lights out in the red zone, you're going to lose.
Yeah, the Seahawks 77% inside the red zone, and that was after going 2 for 2 against the Cardinals last week. So a down week for them. The Rams only 64% inside the red zone. So Seattle having the edge there. And same with the defense. The Rams allowing 65% inside the red zone, allowing their opponents to score. But the Seahawks only 50-50 for their opponents. So definitely on the edge of both sides is where I think is going to make the difference against the Rams.
Yeah, I think that'll make a huge difference. The other thing I noticed, what the Buccaneers were doing with the Rams, especially early in the game, Winston basically ate them alive on seams and screens.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all they had to do. Anybody lined up on John Johnson, like, if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm just looking for number 43 all day. That's all I'm doing. He is god awful. Him and Taylor Rapp are god awful. And guess what? Eric Weddle is still average, even though PFF for the millionth year has him overrated for the millionth time. Like, their safeties and their linebackers are not good at all. And Talib's having a down year. The only guy I fear in the defensive backfield for them at all is Peters.
Yeah.
And he is boom or bust. I think he's going to give up one big one to DK. I think Will Disley has a huge game, just hitting seam routes all day long. And that'll be the game. And Russ will be efficient in the red zone.
So doesn't it concern you a little bit, though, that the Seahawks are not, Russell Wilson's primarily throwing to the outside. He's not a guy who hits the seam just consistently like we saw with Winston. At the seam route. He's good at it, but I don't feel like he goes that direction as often as Winston and the Bucs were against the Rams.
Oh, he's had many games where he's just ate people alive with the seam route, especially when Jermaine Kearse was playing a lot in the slot. Like him and Kearse had a great connection down the seam. Think of some of the biggest plays in Seahawks history are Russell Wilson hitting guys down the seam, whether it's Sidney Rice against the Patriots, whether it's Kearse in the NFC Championship game. I mean, you can go down the list.
Well, you can find the plays. It doesn't feel like Russell Wilson's consistent go-to play.
I don't know. He hit Disley a lot in this last game on the seam route.
Okay, well, maybe I'm thinking of something completely different, because what I saw the Bucs do against the Rams, it just didn't look like something I see consistently out of the Seattle team.
Well, one of the things that the Seahawks did going into, oh gosh, which game was it? The Saint game, is we had looked at what the Patriots had done to the opponent prior, and they ran a lot of, maybe it was the Steelers game. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
And the Patriots ran a lot of those, little crossing patterns, those 5-6 yard crossing patterns across there. And we're like, well, they ate him alive doing that, but we don't do that, so don't expect it to happen. And Russ came out and he did it. Like, that's why I'm saying this is peak Russ. Like, whatever it is that the defense gives you, he can do it now. Whether that's hitting screens or crossers or things that he's not traditionally the best at. The only route that he can't throw is the freaking fade.
Yeah. And he just needs more time with DK. He'll nail that.
Let's not try it in games no more.
No, it's just practice play from now on.
Yeah.
But you talked about the Rams' offensive line, and that does seem like a critical component of this game, because I'm surprised, man, looking at what they've given up. They haven't given up big sack numbers, because only 8 sacks on Jared Goff allowed on the year. He is able to get the ball out quickly, but it's the amount of pressure that they're giving up. And each one of the offensive line already through 4 games has double-digit pressures. And you look over at the defensive line for the Rams, they're similar, getting double-digit pressures. Not a lot of sacks outside Clay Matthews, Dante Fowler. But yeah, that just... Joseph Noteboom, their guard, 14 pressures. Havenstein having a down year, 14 pressures, and 5 penalties by Havenstein. So it's almost like Jermaine Ifedi is playing for the Rams now. Havenstein, he got the touch from Ifedi apparently last year, and now he's their version of him.
Well, I wish it would have left Ifedi when it was transferred. That would have been the better part of that if it had actually gone down. But at least Havenstein stinks now. So that's nice. You also see, Whitworth is still playing at a fairly average level, but
he's still their best lineman, but he's not having. He's had 4 penalties this year.
He's 38 years old.
Yeah,
and their middle of their line, both guards and center, are just a dumpster fire. So look for a lot of stunts bringing Clowney around up the middle. It's something that he excels at, and if I'm Ken Norton, I'm licking my chops for that matchup. And you get a little bit of pressure on Goff, and he falls apart.
And you saw it in this game where they would send blitzers, and he would just panic and throw the ball, and that's essentially how the Bucs were getting their interceptions.
Yep. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, he is. And the thing is I was like, well, maybe it's just a rut. Maybe it's just a fluke. And it's like, well, when did he start playing bad? And has he had moments in there where I'd say, well, he's back. It's okay. This McVay thing is still going to work. I'm telling you, week 12 against the Bears last year. Since then, Goff has been one of the 3 worst quarterbacks in passer rating.
Wow.
Since then. at 77 and change.
That's pretty surprising.
That's bad. And then they just gave him a huge ass extension.
Yeah, I talked to James on the Field Goals podcast on Wednesday, and it sounds like there's a rift growing among Rams fans as to it. You know, the group that thinks it was a mistake to pay Jared Goff, and those that are still saying, well, wait and see. Things are probably going to work out okay with Goff.
Yeah, sure. And the funny part about that is, it's not just Jared Goff. It's something I've been saying, this whole offseason. Super Bowl hangover is real. Offensive lineman losses. That's a real thing. The league finally catching up to McVay towards the end of last year with Belichick tying a bow around how you beat this team. Todd Gurley's knee. All of those things coalescing together coming into this season. And they were the clear-cut favorite in the NFC. Give me a break. This is exactly what I saw coming for these guys. If we can win this game, this one right here, I'll tell you right now, we're winning the division.
Okay.
We win this game, we win the division. I can promise you that. I mean, think about it. You've already got 3 wins in the bank. You win this game, you're at 4 wins. You need 7 more wins out of your next 12 games.
It's a good spot to be in.
Yeah, to basically win the division. I think you got this.
You can't count on San Francisco just winning out from now on.
Oh, God, they're going to fall off any day now. When is Jimmy Garoppolo's body going to explode? It's going to happen.
It's going to happen sometime. It always does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, looking at this game, so the one concern, of course, going up against the Rams is this Rams defensive line. Michael Brockers, Aaron Donald up the middle. I don't know how the Bucs offensive line, I mean, they're not world beaters. They're not legendary, but yet they were able to hold these guys in check. Dante Fowler I think he's having 4 sacks. Clay Matthews, rejuvenated, has 5 sacks on the year.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys have double-digit pressures on the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Well, it should be. I mean, Aaron Donald has ate Justin Britt's lunch for years now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's changed at all. I guess I would hope that the addition of Upati with Fluke, to kind of help double team Donald and use the back to chip. And then at that point, you hope that there's just enough room for Russ to move around, who's looked much more comfortable in the pocket than ever before in his career.
Yeah.
Really not bailing on it and getting out of the pocket unless he really needs to or it makes sense to. And I'm relying on the fact that this version of Russell Wilson won't run himself into as much trouble as he has against the Rams over the years. Out of all the teams in the league, the team that Russ has lost the most to is the stupid Rams team. So I'm hoping that that's a streak that starts to get turned around here.
Why do we have a fullback? Why do we have a fullback on the roster? Speaking of keeping Russell protected in the backfield, I mean, that's what you use one of those guys for, right? Is for blocking.
I mean, don't you just trot Fant out there as an extra offensive lineman on every play?
I mean, the only place we're playing fullback Nick Bellore is on special teams.
Yeah, no, that's what he's there for. I mean, you can say fullback is his position, but his position is ST. It's special teams.
Yeah.
He's that's what he does.
Which
is valuable.
Oh, sure. Yeah. If and he hasn't had the penalties like he had in preseason. So at least there's that. But you just think, in a game where you want to keep Russell Wilson clean and you have somebody there that, I think Carson probably is your next best blocker to put in the backfield. I mean, I don't even know if Bellore is good. I haven't seen him.
No, right. I can't weigh in on an opinion there. No. Right. I mean, I know he's on the roster. Hooray.
Seems like a job a fullback would be geared for, but oh well.
Yeah, I don't know that there is a game plan for Aaron Donald, except for just hope for the best.
Well, I think you do double team him. You do chip him with a running back. You do those kinds of things. And you look at what the Tampa Bay Bucks did that were so successful, because I just don't feel.
When you say so successful, you act like the Rams weren't getting pressure at all.
It was good enough to keep Jameis Winston clean and free from throwing picks.
Yeah, that's true, because that is difficult.
That's unusual for Jameis Winston to have that great of a game against what would be a pretty strong defensive line, maybe even the strongest in the league.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made there. I'm still... Talk to me about Clay Matthews' resurgence as a player in about week 9 or 10. We'll see how that looks by then. Fowler, I think, has the talent and is a disruptive guy. Brockers is a quality player. I don't see him as a difference maker. I mean, I think he really made his money off of Aaron Donald. He should, give him 15% of his check just in a thank you. But
Corey Littleton is a guy having a good year for the Rams. Their one linebacker that's pretty good. Yeah, he's good.
Says who?
He's got 27 tackles on the year, 9 stops.
How many?
27 tackles, 9 stops. That's good so far.
I don't know. I don't think he's all that great.
In coverage, he hasn't been all that great.
No. I'm saying he's just not that great of a player.
I would throw his way. It's just I'm saying that he's having a decent year.
But here's the thing. So the one part of this Rams team that I can look at and say, hey, this is a group that's playing really well, are their receivers. Kupp, Woods, and who's the third receiver? Cooks.
Yeah.
They really are playing very well. And one of the reasons why Goff is having as much success as he has is that even at that one read BS that he's running, that their guys are able to beat most coverage guys in a one-on-one matchup. And so that's helping him a lot.
Yeah.
That's the one thing bailing him out right now. It worries me to a degree, but Taylor's been great as a slot corner to this point. Shaq is taking the next step. He just really looks like a number one corner.
He looks a lot more confident now, making plays on the football these last couple games.
Yeah. And Flowers hasn't been terrible. He's been a decent number 2.
For a guy who was taken in the 5th round and is only his second year as a starter.
Safety?
Right.
Yeah.
No, and when you have Shaq playing so well on the opposite side, that's going to funnel a lot of that action over to other side and Flowers, so they have to be sure and that he's getting the help that he needs. And he's playing off of the receivers to not allow those big plays. So it's just kind of the way the defense is designed at this point. Yeah, would you like him to be a little bit better? I'd be okay with them going out and making a trade for a certain cornerback that's out there and rumored to be available. But, this is what the team...
No.
You don't want Ramsey?
I do not want Ramsey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember how we used to have hoopla?
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun?
I know.
Yeah. No, I don't. No. I don't need his hoopla.
Just maybe a little hoopla.
No. All right. Look, let's talk about this Ramsey thing right just quickly. All right. Look, now there's a history of diva wide receivers going from one team to the next, right?
Oh, yeah.
And every team is like, oh, with us he'll be good because we have better culture and a better locker room and a better infrastructure and a better head coach. You know what happens to those diva receivers everywhere they go? They get worse from stop to stop to stop. And it's the same thing with diva freaking cornerbacks.
What are you talking about?
Why?
Deion Sanders went from team to team to team and won chips.
Yeah, but he wasn't cancerous distraction.
Sure.
He was just prime. Everybody liked him.
That's true. He was a good teammate.
Yeah, he was a good teammate. How many people in that Jags locker room right now are stoked about Jalen Ramsey as a teammate? Yeah, ask Calais Campbell what he thinks of Ramsey right now.
Can we trade for Calais Campbell?
I wish.
I wish we would have signed him.
God, well, yeah, we both did. But yeah, long story short, no, I don't want the diva problematic player with a bad attitude because he doesn't just magically clean up his act on the next team. He only gets worse because he was enabled by the prior team when they let him, out the door because he requested to.
Okay. You've convinced me for now.
Okay.
But I might bring it up again later. Just be prepared.
And I'll debunk you again.
I would only expect it. So this game against the Rams, you're feeling pretty good.
This is the best I've felt going into a Rams game in probably the last 4 matchups.
It's interesting how statistically similar these two teams are. Even when you look at the number of passing yards, you'd think that, that Jared Goff would just have this huge edge over Russell Wilson. but he's only got him by 100 passing yards so far. Russell Wilson has the clear edge in touchdown. Jared Goff has the clear edge in interceptions. I know you're thinking your bet's looking pretty good with Bear now because essentially Jared Goff has a net 0 in passing touchdowns because he has 6 interceptions balancing out those 6 touchdown passes.
That's exactly right. And Russ is sitting at what, 9?
He's at 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did we ever decide or find out if it was total touchdowns or just passing touchdowns?
I don't know if it much matters.
I'm just saying, I'd take the extra, just to bury him even
extra
further.
Rushing touchdown.
Yeah, just so it looks even worse for him.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, what about you? How confident do you feel going into this game? At home, Rams having to travel on a short week, coming off a loss. The offensive line is a dumpster fire.
I mean, that's essentially the point that I'm trying to get at when I look at statistically what these two teams have been able to do so far. And I talked about passing yards, even total yards gained when you include rushing yards, both of them just over 1,500, not quite to 1,600 for the Rams. And, the ranking wise are similar, even defensively, pretty similar as far as the numbers they've given up. Points per game, though, the Seahawks, they have the edge there. 22 points per game. The Rams are giving up 26. So when I dig down to those red zone percentages of what the defense has given up, what the Seahawks offense is doing, the fact that we're playing at home on a Thursday night on a short week, it gives me a lot of confidence going into this game that this can finally be the time that Pete Carroll figures out Sean McVay and shows that he knows how to take on this Rams offense.
Yeah, and it's not like he's been far off the last 2 matchups either.
No, all it's taken was it came down to some 4th down plays at the end of the game. Now, the difference that I would like to see is that you're going to have to play aggressive football against the Rams team. And rather than playing aggressive, having to play so aggressive in the 4th quarter, come out and play a little more aggressive in the 1st quarter. Drive down that's what got me excited for that game against the Cardinals. They actually drove down the field on the very first drive. Yeah, they didn't come away with a touchdown, but they got points. And they're going to need to do that. A
fast start would go a long ways, right? I mean, that was one of the things that put the Rams behind the 8 ball against when they were playing the Bucs.
And if you're forcing Jared Goff now to have to come from behind, and he doesn't have the offensive line in front of him that he used to, I agree with you. They're going to give up a lot of yards. Be prepared. They're going to drive down the field. It's going to be frustrating, but you're waiting for those opportunities where your team can come up big on a 3rd down and hold them to a field goal, get off the field.
The other thing that actually gives me a little hope and confidence going into this game, if you look at the Seattle Seahawks defense right now, Brandon, without looking at the stats, does it feel like they're more stout against the run or the pass?
Well, I would say against the run.
That's what it feels like, right? But they're like 19th in the league when it comes to stopping the run.
What?
And they're like 12th against the pass.
How are they 19th when David Johnson ran for 40 yards, when the Pittsburgh Steelers ran for almost nothing?
I don't know.
Have they had a running back go over 50 yards? Kamara had what, 69 rushing yards? That was the most that they've given up to a running back so far this season.
I know.
And that was Kamara.
Well, I guess, that was total yards, so that doesn't take into account the teams that have had buys to this point. Like, they played one less game.
The Jets and the 49ers, those are the 2.
There's only been 2 teams that have had buys to this point?
They're the only ones that had a bye last week.
Last week, there was teams
that was the first
bye the week
last
before,
week
right?
was the first bye week. Wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. It's not our bye week, so I don't care.
Right. They don't do bye weeks. They just have the 2 teams on the early bye and week 4. Yeah, that was it. That was the first one.
Okay, 16th. Oh, that's yards per rush. Rushes per game.
Yards per rush, that might make sense.
Yeah. Okay, opponent rush yards per game rather than just total yards. It does make a difference. Number 6.
Okay. But they are more toward the middle of the pack in rushing yards per attempt.
Yes.
I could see that.
Right. But I don't see those Rams getting anything going on the ground against the trio of linebackers we trot out there. Just ain't happening.
What did you make of that against the Cardinals? The fact that everybody's making such a big deal about, with the Cardinals running their
air raid nonsense.
Yeah, their air raid offense, and
everybody nonsense, not offense, nonsense.
Nonsense, air raid nonsense, and them making such a big deal about Pete Carroll. He leaves his base defense on the field.
Yeah, I love it. I love that Pete Carroll is giving the entire stat nerd community a giant middle finger, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna run the ball and we're gonna stop the run and we're gonna be stout up front, and then we're gonna get chunk plays and we're gonna win a lot of games like we always do. But that's fantastic that Kyler Murray was off to a historic start in his first 3 games, 5th all time in passing yards. Neat.
The idea that the announcers, though, are making this big deal about having 3 linebackers on the field like it's something unique, that they're not bringing in another corner.
Like they all went back to leather helmets or something?
I don't know. It's weird to me.
Yeah, they act like, Pete Carroll is, going back to the wishbone or something, like that it's such far-fetched old school idea that you play 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers.
Well, even if you have an offense that has 4 wide receivers on the field, you still have 4 defensive backs on the field.
No, you don't, Brandon. What are you thinking? I know, it's crazy.
It's like there's a mismatch there somewhere, and I'm failing to understand what. You have Jamar Taylor, and he can come in, but that takes away from the strength of the Seahawks defense.
So the guy who comes off the field in nickel is Kendricks, correct?
It probably should
Mostly.
be, right?
Sometimes it's KJ,
Sometimes it's KJ.
Generally it's let's say Kendricks or KJ, either one, right? Is your team better with Taylor on the field or KJ or Kendricks?
Exactly.
When is your team better?
When KJ and Kendricks are on the field.
I don't care which one of them has LB next to their name and which one has CB next to their name. What I care about is which way the team is better. So this is why all these newfangled analysts can't seem to figure this out.
Yeah, take the Cardinals game as an example. Bobby Wagner, of course, on the field for all 63 of the defensive snaps. That makes a ton of sense. And Kendricks out there for 53, so just 10 fewer, and KJ Wright out there for just 8 fewer.
There you go. Yeah, I love it. I love the commitment to playing old school.
And Jamar Taylor, 18 snaps, so it computes perfectly.
Right. You know what computes perfectly? What it all computes perfectly into? A win.
I hope it computes perfectly into a win on Thursday.
I would say it ought to. Now, if we lose, am I going to be hanging my head and it's the end of the world and the Rams are still unbeatable, blah, 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 blah? Oh, yeah, hell no.
For a little bit. I'll be hanging my head like that.
No.
No, you're not? Okay.
No, because the wheels are going to come completely off that Rams bus, at some point this season.
I know, but I want to be the one to just knock off one of those wheels first.
Oh, I know. And that's why this is all setting up so good for vengeance.
Although Tampa kind of, Tampa made the wheel wobbly.
Absolutely. Yeah, they took off a couple lug nuts. And now it's time to, take off the last one and just watch it all crash and burn. I hope Goff has another 4 turnover game.
Yeah. That would lead well into the Seahawks getting the win.
Yes. What are the Rams on turnover ratio? Just real quick. That's the last one.
Interceptions thrown per game, fumbles per game, fumbles lost per game, fumbles not lost per game.
Yeah, just how many times have you turned it over and how many times have you turned the other team over? That's all I need.
Turnover margin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I do have that here.
You can call it either turnover margin, turnover ratio, however you want to say it. How many times have you coughed it up and how many times have you gotten it? And what's the net?
Turnover differential.
There you
and
go.
Team
There's another word.
In the league, Seahawks are at +2. They're tied for 8th in the NFL. So see, we were worried where the turnovers were going to come from, the Seahawks defense. Well, they just haven't given it up really on offense. There have been a couple fumbles, but the Rams, they are -3, which is tied for 25th in the NFL.
There you go.
But Jared Goff, a big contributor to that.
Yeah.
Because if they're only -3 and he's thrown 6 interceptions.
Yeah, they've turned some people over.
They've turned some people over, too.
But they won't turn Russ over. He's just not doing it this year.
Chris Carson's not out of the woods yet.
Well, I'm not talking about Chris Carson. I think we're going to see a little more Penny in this game, and for that very reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. See, well, it's good for Carson to have the get right game and then maybe have a little bit of a load taken off for him against the Rams.
Yeah, let's hope so.
And I think it actually benefits the Seahawks to run more of those outside runs and against the Rams rather than running it into the strength of their defense.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what I'd like to see. Just plug your ears because you never thought you'd hear me say this. I'd like to see some bubble screens.
Just this one game.
It's this one game. It makes sense in this game.
Mm-hmm.
If we threw a little more to the right, just to, balance things out, that'd be kind of nice.
Oh.
Lots of targets to the left man this year.
Well, I think it's DK's had a lot to do with that. Did you see his route tree for the first 4 games of the season?
I don't know. Is it just all goes?
It's all goes, and it's all on the left side.
Yeah.
There, he has one. He's run one route for no catch on the right side this year.
Well, look, I mean, he's a rookie receiver who had a limited route tree coming in. And what the Seahawks do best out of every team in this league, except for maybe the Patriots, is they don't talk about what you can't do. They talk about what you can do, and they accentuate that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And that's fine because he's been a contributor as a rookie.
And contributing maybe at a higher level than we even expected. I think we said that if he had 20 yards, if he was averaging 20 yards a catch at the end of the season, and so far this year he's at about 25.
Yeah, he's exceeded my expectations early, for sure.
All right, Adam, what do you say we get on to the back half of the episode? Going to be kind of short on the back half, but we'll get to it and some do better and better at life.
All right, let's do it, bud.
Getting into the second half of the show, apart from, just a big game against the Rams, Adam, this is kind of a cool game in terms of we have another member of the Ring of Honor, the Seahawks Ring of Honor, adding its 12th member, and it's going to be former owner Paul Allen.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything more fitting?
Having the 12th member of the Ring of Honor be Paul Allen? I can see why they've waited so long to add somebody, because now it makes all the sense.
It does make all the sense. Who is it for me to be the guy who's been like, well, it's deserved? I mean, well, freaking duh, man.
Right.
Like, it's a no-brainer. Love it. I really excited that his name will grace the stadium forever that way. I mean, probably, I don't know. It's hard to, go against the Nordstroms. I mean, they were good owners too, but, he was one of the best owners in the NFL for the entire time he owned the team. Saved him from moving.
Yep.
What more can you say about Paul Allen?
I mean, I couldn't have argued with the idea to put him in the Ring of Honor like in, I don't know, the year 2000.
Right.
It would have been fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now maybe we can get the ball rolling on getting guys like Matt Hasselbeck and Marcus Trufant.
Yep.
Those are two guys that I feel like out of that era, Walt is there already. I think those are the guys.
Oh, I totally agree.
Okay.
100%. I mean, some might say Alexander. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd be okay with him being in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're on the fence.
He's okay. I don't know. It just he was.
Chris Warren's not in the Ring of Honor. Put him in there.
Now that's seemingly a tragedy right there.
What? That he's not. Yeah.
Yes. I'm agreeing with you on this one. I like how your de facto response is like, what are you talking about? Like, I always disagree with you just for the fun of it.
I was expecting you to disagree with me. You didn't. And so it threw me all off.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris Warren, Seahawks legend. Got to be there.
Yeah.
All right. What do you say we get into welcoming some new members of the flock?
Oh, okay. We're doing that. I thought we were just going to breeze through. All right, cool. Well, let's do it.
Oh, no, we're done. End of segment. That was it. That's all the new members right there.
Well, apparently we did something wrong last week. So instead of berating people, I'm gonna be apologetic. I'm really sorry.
I'm sorry we screwed up so bad.
Yeah. I hope this episode was better.
We were a day late at getting the show out last week.
Well, yeah. Life has been a little more than busy. Yeah. I mean, so the last 4 days of my life, I drove 1,100 miles and worked 26 hours.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
4 days.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of driving.
Oh my God, it's a lot of driving.
Looking at the Seahawkers Podcast Pick'em League. If you want to get in on that, we're still.
Do we have to look at that?
I know you don't want to. You can close your eyes, but we had 3 people that had 11 picks correct this past week.
Did they really?
Yeah, 11.
Did they just throw darts at a schedule? Like how? I don't even know.
The winners missed
I only had
4
6
games.
correct last week. It was bad.
The winners missed 4 games, and there were 3 that were consistently missed. They missed the Baltimore game, the Houston game, and of course the Rams-Bucks game.
Yeah.
So pretty much universally, those 3 games. There are a few people that pick Carolina. There are a couple people that pick Cleveland. But
sure.
Yeah. And Philly Green Bay. That was a big difference too.
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
Yeah.
I actually got that one, so hooray. And then the rest of them, like I wanted to post a GIF on the Ring of Honor, and it was just a picture of a dumpster on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my picks this week.
Your picks. Yeah, because you got 6, and I think I got 9.
Yeah. It finally got you ahead of me.
I know. Even with your dropped week, that was your worst week. So that was the one that dropped off in the standings.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But so Disley Emma Thorpe got the number 1 spot. And so send us an email, and we'll get your prize to you. Muffed Punter and Queen Renee's Slick Picks all got 11.
Well, congratulations, you guys. You're smarter than me.
And then looking over at the standings through week 4, let's go through, let's see, the top 6. Bobby Swagger with the number 1 spot.
Solid name, too.
Very solid with 36 points. And at 35 points, you have a group of 5. You got 3 Seagulls and a chip. F can't miss the Rams. Russell Wilson's deep balls. Inside trading outside linebacker and pick mode.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm not even going to talk trash this week. I'm just not. Nope. I'm just going to shut up and make my picks this week.
All right, Adam. Well, what do you say we get into there? You know what? We have one email that I have to read.
Okay.
Because we had somebody calling us out. And
okay.
I think maybe we deserve it in this case because Brian Heckler from Issaquah, he emails in, says, "Hey, Adam. Hey, Brandon. This is my first time emailing in. Long-time listener and long-time freeloader here. I wanted to send this email in the week, but my wife and I were celebrating our 11th anniversary with a small road trip.
Oh.
I noticed that nobody took the blame for our first loss of the season. Clearly, that's because it was my fault. But we have to keep the tradition alive."
True.
And yes, for people who are coming into this is their first season listening to the show. Yeah. Traditionally, after a Seahawks loss, we come onto the pod and we have someone who's taken responsibility for the loss.
It's true.
And we did this a little bit at Pizza Professional.
See, this is what unfortunately, he just wasn't there for that. But we did go around the table and we all, talked about how it's our fault. I didn't wear the hat I've been wearing for weeks, which is apparently now my hard hat because I've been working during every game so far this year. So tomorrow night in my hotel room for Thursday Night Football, I will be wearing my hard hat.
Good. Yeah. And I think the thing that happened for me, I was wearing my lime green Tyler Lockett jersey loud and proud out in the open, but I had it covered up with one of those trash bag liners. And so I did not have the jersey in the proper position that it was for the first game of the season.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel bad about that. But so Brian, he's taking responsibility for it here. He says, clearly that's because it was my fault. New listeners clearly need to know about these traditions, and it's your responsibility to call us out when nobody takes the blame for that. Do better. And he says, more importantly, I am the one that needs to do better here. Unfortunately, I have to work during Seahawks games, and I am required to wear a company uniform. On the bright side, I do have a company-issued action green shirt that I wear with their navy blue jacket. I wore that shirt during all of the games this season, including all the preseason games and week 2, which I was actually able to watch live. Naturally, the last thing I want to do is wear a work uniform when I'm on vacation, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to watch the Saints game live and wanted to support my team. I had the foresight to pack my work shirt for game day, but I catfished it all up. I left the shirt in the hotel room on game day. Pete Carroll got hit in the face with a football. Sorry, Pete. And you guys know the rest. It's my fault that we lost to the Saints, and it's imperative that I get this message out before we kick off in Arizona today. Let's just hope it's not too late. See, it wasn't too late. Good job. And he says, I have been a Seahawks fan since Russell's rookie year, and finding this podcast was a godsend for a lonely fan in Tennessee that was still learning the game. I started listening 3 or 4 years ago and found the show to be incredibly entertaining, uplifting, and informative. Since then, I've moved to the motherland. I have called the Seattle suburbs home for almost 2 years now, but the Seahawkers podcast will always hold a special place in my heart and in my fandom. Keep up the great work, and thanks for all you've done to help bring me closer to the team. P.S. I'm sure this isn't the first time I have been responsible for quote-unquote making daddy drink. So if you send me your mailing info, I will send a little beer money your way. From Brian.
Hey, Brian, I think with as bizarro as that Saints game was, starting out, Pete getting hit in the face with a football. Like, I don't know that it's any one of our faults, but I know for sure it is all of our faults. Because that had to have been collective bad Hakra. For all of us, for it to go that unbelievably sideways. Fortunately, we seem to have figured it out as a fandom, as a group of fans this last game against Arizona. And I expect nothing but a continuation of our good Hawker going forward against the Rams tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, we got it. We had the loss. We figured out what the problem is, and now we can all have it fixed now.
I agree. But I appreciate Brian calling us out because he's right.
Well, it is important that we did all go around, but we didn't bring it to the show.
Exactly.
And so we did drop the ball on that.
We did. I hope he had fun on his vacation.
Yeah, it sucks when you got to take your uniform with you on vacation, but
yeah, boo.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Take one for the team, man.
All right, on to do better and better at life.
All right, man.
One do better for me. You're going to cover better at life this week.
All right.
My do better this week is for the Arizona Cardinals, and I think we all saw it. Carson Palmer. I feel like I harped on this months and months ago when we knew that this was actually announced, and it was just so weird to see it happen in real life in Arizona. Carson Palmer in the Cardinals Ring of Honor. Do you know how many games he played for the Arizona Cardinals?
I'm going to go with 28.
60. He's played 60 games in a Cardinals uniform.
How many did he play in a Bengals uniform?
Way more. 60 games in a Cardinals uniform is 5 more games than those legendary Seahawks quarterbacks, Jeff Kemp and Rick Meyer, suited up in as a member of the Seahawks.
Right. So what, next week, are they going to throw Kurt Warner up there too?
Kurt Warner's already there.
Are you serious? That's sad. Yeah, that's pretty pathetic. But if you think about it, of all the teams because Carson Palmer had a prolific enough career, I believe, that he deserves to be in somebody's Ring of Honor, right? Like, just probably not the Raiders, right? That didn't go well. But
why not USC?
Well, okay, fine. But an NFL team, just based on numbers and the amount of success had and all that stuff, I would say that would be the Bengals. But the problem is that his relationship with that front office deteriorated so badly. And, the Browns, is it Paul Brown Jr.? Or which Brown owns the Browns?
I don't know.
Whichever one it is, he's dumpster fire of or not the Browns, the Bengals. Yeah, it's like, I think it's
Does a guy with the name Brown own the Bengals?
Pretty sure it's one of Paul Brown's grandchildren who owns the Browns, right?
Or
the Bengals. God, I'll get this right yet. One of Paul Brown's grandchildren owns the Bengals.
Mike Brown.
There it is. Yeah. And he's awful. And him and Carson Palmer hate each other. And I'm sure that's why he will never be in the Ring of Honor for the Bengals. So at that point, I guess he's got to go in the Cardinals.
So Carson Palmer has 5 seasons and 1 Pro Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I know the rules are a little bit different for quarterbacks than there are for other position players, but if you went by that logic for inducting Seahawks into the Ring of Honor, I mean, we would have a huge number of players in the Ring of Honor. That would put Earl Thomas in, it'd put Richard Sherman in, it would put Steve Hutchinson in, I think it would put Steve Hutchinson in. He had 68 games as a Seahawk, so he'd be in. Sean Alexander would be in. Chad Brown would be in. Max Unger
Well,
I could keep going down the line.
Earl, Cam, and Sherm are all going to be in there.
Yeah, they'll be all there.
Yeah.
Max Strong. Max Strong is a guy who should be in there anyway.
True.
You could put guys like Michael Sinclair in there, Michael Bennett, Chris Warren, who we established should already be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
Obviously,
there's a lot of guys.
Doug Baldwin, Brian Blades. I could keep going.
Yeah.
Russell Okung. Let's put Russell Okung in the Seahawks Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing, Cardinals. Do better.
Well, the Cardinals are pathetic. What do you expect them to do?
Well, they do have Kurt Warner already in there. And what did he play? How many? I bet he has fewer than 60 games in a Cardinals uniform.
I'm sure he does. Yeah, he only played like 3 seasons as a starter, really. Because like that first year, it was him and Leinart, and Leinart played the majority of the games.
Okay. No, Kurt Warner played 61 games, so he has one more game in a Cardinals uniform. So they looked at that and they go, "Oh well, Kurt Warner's in.
Yeah,
let's put Carson Palmer in."
Well,
they're about the same.
Those are their 2 quarterbacks that led him to all of 2 good seasons. In the past 20 years,
forever.
Congratulations.
Well, I guess you got to take them where you can. But I mean, Jim Zorn, he never led us to some prolific playoff seasons, but he had time in.
Well, not only that, but he was the original quarterback.
I know. And he was really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's weird to me.
Well, it ought to be. Everything about the Cardinals is weird. I mean, you hire a coach who didn't win in college. Cool. Yeah. You hire, you ditch a quarterback you drafted the year before, number 6. You fire a 1-year coach.
That was probably a good move, though.
Rosen
Kyler
hasn't
Murray
been terrible for the Dolphins. It is not a Rosen problem in Miami.
Well, no. I mean, Miami has all the problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry. I am not seeing it out of Kyler Murray.
He's going to be fine.
Is it Dinker and Dunker? Sure.
I think they're trying to protect him.
Okay.
Go back to Russell Wilson's first 4 games for the Seahawks.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't the type of quarterback that he was even toward the end of that season. Those first 4 games, it was like
first 7 games are pretty rough.
Yeah.
I don't see it, man. Those Oklahoma quarterbacks are system quarterbacks, dude. They come out and they may look good for a year or 2, but then
sure, now it's on Oklahoma. Okay, get on to your better at life.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be Oklahoma. My better at life.
Always got to get your shots in against my college team.
Yeah, and all your system quarterbacks that come out of there.
I don't care. I mean,
sure.
I do kind of care because it doesn't even win titles in college.
No. Yeah, just a gimmick. It's a cute gimmick.
Meanwhile, Alabama you can hardly get a guy out of Alabama to be drafted.
Right.
Until this next year, but.
Yeah, I've not watched enough of Tua yet to have an opinion on him yet. So we'll see.
Looking forward to it. A teaser for March or April.
Yeah, right. When we go through this year's quarterback should be interesting because that Herbert kid's going to be in there. It sounds like, right?
I thought Herbert was next year.
I thought it's the Clemson kid that'll be the next year.
Oh no, Herbert is the Ducks guy.
Yeah,
Nordic Jesus is next year.
Right. Who's apparently not having a great year so far. So
no,
but whatever. What does matter is my better at life than Skip Bayless this week. Because it's for Uncle Will. And no, it's not because he's off to a great start. It's not because, being a Montana kid, it's exciting to see him playing on my favorite team. It's because he knows how to celebrate a touchdown the right way. And he scores his touchdown against the Cardinals. Does he spike it? Does he, do a little dance? Does he do some choreographed routine? Does he point to the nameplate on the back of his jersey? Does he do any of that stuff to bring attention to himself? No, he doesn't. You know what he does? He runs up to his center, Justin Britt, and hands him the ball so he can spike it. Giving cred to his offensive line, because if it wasn't for those big guys up front, none of this would happen. And the whole resurgence of this team over the last 2 years is because the guys in the trenches have improved. And just knowing that those guys get no shine for doing the hardest, dirtiest work in football and recognizing them in your moment to shine makes Will Dissly my better at life than Skip Bayless.
Solid choice for better at life on a week where we give out one solo better at life. Will Dissly, he's earned it. through the first 4 games for sure.
Absolutely. And I don't know. I just think that's cool. Like, I mean, it's kind of that Barry Sanders, way of celebrating a touchdown. Yes, I've done this before. Yes, this is what I'm paid to do. You know what? Maybe give the guys that deserve more credit than they ever get. Give them a chance to shine. It's been a good dude, a good teammate.
Hey, while we're on the topic of Will Dissly, can opposing teams stop going at his dang knees? I'm cringing every time I see the opponents diving at Will Dissly's knees. He's coming off a knee injury, right?
Yeah, no, you and me both, man. Well,
knock that crap off.
That's a problem when you're a big old drink of water running around out there, catching footballs. The only way those smaller guys can bring you down is to go low.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for his health overall throughout the rest of his life, I would rather they're going for his legs than his head.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some headshots this weekend, too.
Yeah.
Well, let's get on out of here. Let's thank our members of the flock at $12 and above on our way out the door, Adam.
Oh, these guys, you're the greatest.
Keith Ketover, a.k.a. Flocktimus Prime, University of Cybertron, Little Flockers, roll out.
DCH from Sparks, Nevada, the University of Montana Grizzlies.
Annalisa Mickelson, a.k.a. Mrs. Doug Baldwin, New York, New York, undergrad, University of North Carolina, Greensboro, graduate school, Brooklyn College.
Eric Trench, rooting for the Seahawks out of Renton, Washington, graduated from Eastern Washington University.
Gary Blum from Chappaqua, New York, and the University of Pennsylvania, your 2016 Pick'em League champion.
Ron Pepper, UNLV Runnin' Rebels, San Francisco, California.
Tickety-boo! This here is Hong Kong Hawk, it is, from Hockfordshire Meadows, just north of Chelsea, yeah?
Kevin Stengen, Keene, Texas.
Ella Esparza, Woodway, Texas, Yale University, and Sam Houston State, Eat 'em Up Cats.
Lisa in Seattle.
Vincent Parker, Emily Carr, University of Art Design, RN Collective.
Samuel Gelber, NoHo, California.
David Van Cleve, Camas, Washington, home of the Papermakers.
Leo Jesse, Luleå, Sweden, from Luleå Eskimos and Vancouver in France.
This is Bryce Shaw from Sugar Land, Texas. I'm 11 years old and spent my allowance to join the Ring of Honor. Do better and go Hawks.
Jameson Holman from Murray, Utah, representing Mississippi State University. Hail State and go Hawks.
Hey Seahawkers, my name is Garen Taylor, and my Pick'em League name is Guaranteed Seahawks Fan. I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, North Idaho. Hashtag on the Rose. Go Hawks.
And continuing on down the list, starting with Ross in Eureka, California, Christina in Manassas, Virginia, Sven in Berlin, Deutschland, James in Linwood, Roe in Federal Way, Young in Anchorage, Becca in Manhattan Beach, California, Tim in Austin, John Paul in Palmer, Alaska, Kathy in Eureka, Joshua in London, Brandon in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Jared in Missoula, Christian in Bergen, Norway, Jonathan in Ridgefield, Thomas in the Bronx, Glenn in Sanford, Florida, Mitchell in Roseville, California, Keegan in Colorado Springs, John in Pierce, Nebraska, Owen in Ashburn, Ireland, Jeffrey in Kansas City, Kari in Rochester, Jeff in Waddell, Arizona, Brian in Berlin, Connecticut, Eric in Seattle, Tracy in Kaneohe, Hawaii, Connie in Gothenburg, Sweden, Brian in Sugar Land, Texas, Taylor in South Cle Elum, Lisa in Kelowna, BC, Dean somewhere in the Greater Hawkdom, Marvin in Riverdale, Utah, Brian in the Greater Hawkdom, JC in Billericay, UK, Scott in Bakersfield, California, Eric in Clovis, California, Chris in Spokane, Kevin in Sammamish, Bryson in Eltopia, Shannon in Florida, John in the Greater Hawkdom, Shoko in New York, Greg in Seattle, Ryan in Chatham, Kent, Paul in Minneapolis, John in New York, Pepper in Greenville, South Carolina, Don in the Pacific Northwest, Ben in Wrexham, UK, Kenneth in Hutto, Texas, DK in Ferndale, Mario in Pullman, Jeremy in the Bronx, Seth in Tacoma, Kyler in Plainfield, Illinois, Benjamin in Woodinville, Jeremy in Moses Lake, Joshua in Bellingham, Karina in Ditters, Deutschland, Jeff in Monroe, and Johnny D in Silverton, Oregon. A big thanks to all of our members of the flock at $12 and above. It's really what helps keep the show going, keeping us coming back week after week. Because, we love doing the show, but we love doing it for everybody listening.
Absolutely. That's the main reason that I do it anymore, is for you guys. Because it's getting harder and harder.
Not for me. I like this too.
Yeah, I know.
You can do it for me.
Yeah, I do it for you too, buddy. Yeah, it's got to the point. Like, I just got off the phone with my dad. I'm scheduled all the way through December every single weekend. I'm going to be on the road.
Oh, well, we're only 2,700 more members of the flock to go before we can solidify you into this spot, Adam.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And you have to wear your man bun and do
Yep.
And what was it? Man bun and
shorty shorts.
Shorty shorts. Yes.
And a visor.
And a visor. That's right.
Yeah.
Which
I'd be fine with if I didn't grind another wheel in my life.
10% of the way there. We can make it.
Yep. We can do it.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.